like these kinds of questions because I love hearing how we all respond so differently. Because I'm fascinated that that she takes a year to write the book when I take like a week before I start writing, and I'm sure you guys all have different answers as well. I outlined for about, not a week, I outlined for about a month. It takes me about 3 months to write the first draft, in which, going back to this Act 1, Act 2, and the dreaded 100-page mark, I revise the first 50 pages like over and over because I'm just so in love with the beginning. And like Allison said, it's new, all the characters are new, and you're meeting them for the first time, so I just love spending time in that first 50 pages. When I get to about the 100-page mark where I start to go downhill, is when I stop revising because it's too painful. And I will literally revise the same thing over and over and still not be happy with it. So I've learned now to just keep going to the end. So I'll usually kind of coast to the end. And if I have ideas for revisions, I will keep a whole document of notes on what I want to do to go back and fix those things. And a lot of times those things will disappear as you go, so that's why I won't go back and put them in because chances are they'll change later anyway. My first readers are always, I always send, after I do that round of revisions that I've put in the notes, I always send it to my editor at the same time I send it to my husband, who reads it first, my agent, and also my dad, actually. He's one of my first readers. He's been reading my stuff since before I was published, and I really, really trust his opinion. He's also a writer. So that's my process.
Well, for me, there's many different levels of revision. The first draft is absolute murder. Looking at that blank page, is anybody here trying to write something, you're looking at that blank page and you go find something else to do because it's just like it's blank. Well, that's the way it is for me too. The first drafts are so hard. One of the things I do is every day when I pull up my manuscript is I look at what I wrote the day before and I revise that. And that's, for me, that's kind of a warm-up. That makes that blank page a little bit less scary, and that way I can kind of keep going. I go from the revision part to fresh material. But then that's just like the revision as I go, and then when I'm done, I send it to a few trusted readers. Actually, about halfway through, when I hit that mark, the panic mark that Allison and Jessica were talking about, I have a trusted reader, and I think everyone, if you are comfortable sharing what you're writing, it's really nice to have a cheerleader person. There's some people who you want to be the really hard critiquers, but I think everybody needs a cheerleader who will say, yeah, that's great, keep going, even if it's not great, you need that. And so sometimes when I hit that 100-page thing, I was like, oh, panic, I need to quit this job. That's when the cheerleader comes in. My books take, every draft has taken me a different amount of time. I can't really figure out how long it takes me to write a book with all the revisions. The publication process is so darn long. But just to get a first draft done, the shortest time I've ever written a book in, the first draft is 3 months, the longest 2.5 years. So it just depends, on the book. And but the revision process is my absolute favorite. When I'm in there with my editor, working, finding where to change things, I love revision. In fact, there's times where it's just like, can't we revise some more? And she goes, no, Mary, it's actually, it has to go to press now. So but if I could, I would revise for 10 years.
Every time I start a new book, I get on my computer and I have the title page and there's a surge of excitement, a novel by Allison. Well, I write that stuff, okay, because it gets me really excited. And then I go to page 1 and I go, oh my God, how am I going to fill this page up and then the 300 plus that follow? I'm on my 19th book. This never changes. There's always this moment of, I can't do it. There's no way I can fill up this page and everything that needs to be filled up. Somehow it happens. I don't know how it happens. But I revise as I go. My system is so similar to Jessica's. I revise as I go. I fall in love with my first 50 pages. I read them so many times. I know I'm done revising that first 50 pages when I learn to hate the first 50 pages. Really, when I just can't stand to read it again. I know it's time to move on with the rest of the book. I also take notes, and I leave it, I actually have like a little notebook, because I'm old-fashioned. I don't open a document. She's so technical. I have like little Post-it notes all over my desk, that when I get ideas that come along that I may not have time to put in there later. Sometimes they change, sometimes they don't. But I'm a big reviser. I revise the entire way. Like Mary, I start each writing day reading what I wrote the day before. It serves a dual purpose. It allows me to revise and polish, but it also pulls me back into the story. And then usually I'm just ready to go straight from there. I don't have the big pause with a blank page. My husband is my first reader. He is an attorney and a CPA with the soul of an artist. So he has very strong left and right brain. So he is phenomenal because he can pick out the little, things that a lawyer would notice, like inconsistencies and typos and stuff. But he can also he really understands story structure. So we talk a lot about that as well. I'll revise it one more time based on my conversations with him, and then I turn it into my agent and my editor at the same time, and then we go through the revision process with my editor. And like Mary, I love revising. I just love that part of the process because you're getting a really trusted person's input, and it gives you this chance to just take the book to the next level and really make it shine, and I really love that part of the process.